just change slides here real quick. I promise this is the last time you're going to have to listen to me, and we'll get to all the fun technical stuff. But I'm going to take this opportunity just to give you an update of what the consortium has been doing at a high level, how we've been working to grow the community, and it certainly looks like that it is growing, and that is very exciting to all of us, I think. So our mission hasn't changed. You've seen this slide before, and I think that's a good thing. We're here to write good software. We want to make something that people want to use, and that it is useful, and that it's going to help the community grow, and absolutely help science. Once we've grown the community, we need to show value to our membership. So this is a membership-driven organization that helps us sustain iRODS as a software, and that is very important to us as well. It is important to see that this grows and continues to grow over time, and I think we're being fairly successful at that. We've added 3 new members this year. Intel has joined us in order to help us integrate iRODS with Lustre at the file system level, which is going to give us the ability to do a lot of things moving forward in the HPC space. We have welcomed OCF from the UK, who is a system integrator and has been working with us with a lot of their clients within the UK, and MSC, who is sort of the US analog to OCF, where they are also engaging with the scientific community and bringing iRODS to the scientific community within the United States. Our membership is holding steady. We're still at 15 members. Some have come, some have gone, and that is the way it's always going to work, and I find that very encouraging. Our yearly activity, as I've said, we've welcomed 3 new members. Our service contracts continue to grow. This is how we engage with our members. Once we have welcomed somebody and tricked them into using iRODS, as Terrell liked to say, they would like to have a proof of concept. They want to know what the best practices are, so we will engage with them within a service contract, get that proof of concept stood up for them, and welcome them as a member later. We've had 6 training events this year, which has been quite exciting for us. We have had a lot of interest, and we have spoken to a lot of organizations filled with people that have all of the problems that we want to solve. We have made 1 additional hire. We have hired an automation and test engineer. So for those of you in the community out there, our engineer, Jaspreet, is going to be engaging with you. As I was saying in the training yesterday, we need to build this feedback loop, so when we create technology and you use the technology, we need to make sure that the technology we create is not only meeting your use cases, but when you upgrade, that those upgrades are going to be reliable. So we're going to be bothering all of you on iROD chat and various other support channels to gather those use cases so we can bring them into our continuous integration and make sure that when you're using iRODS, it is reliable as possible. We have had 1 external software contribution, which is great for us because growing this as an open source project and not only housing the development of iRODS at RENCI is going to be interesting. We have to start democratizing how iRODS is built, so this has been a great development for us, and we're looking forward to a number of other announcements along those lines. We've attended 6 conferences this year. I don't know if that includes the user group meeting, maybe 7. I'm losing track at this point, but that is also very exciting. So we are getting out there in the community and growing it in a number of different directions there. We've had 4 core releases, some of which we'll hear about later. We've had 3 additional software releases, of which you'll hear about later, specifically from Terrell. And we have provided a considerable amount of membership technical support. So we are engaging with our members, sometimes weekly, via WebEx, phone call, or any other means of communication, and helping them solve their problems, and that's why we are here, to help you get iRODS out into your infrastructure and make sure that your scientists are doing exactly what it is they need to do. The consortium governance model. So just as an overview of how we work, we have a planning committee. This is where all of our membership comes together and performs the strategic planning. What is going to be the high-level direction of the iRODS Consortium? What conferences are we going to go to? What verticals are we going to engage? How are we going to engage them? And they also provide the software release approval. So when the technology working group builds that roadmap, that will be lifted up to the planning committee in order for approval. The technology working group also handles development coordination. So you'll be hearing from them if you're working on a piece of software that you're interested in consortium support, you would like to contribute to the consortium, or you would just need some help. Beyond that, the technology working group performs a community outreach. So they're going to reach out and, as I said, build that feedback loop within the community and provide a process around that. So when we're gathering requirements, those requirements are going to be tested and they're going to be bulletproof. Beyond that, we have an advisory board that helps us engage across the various verticals. And an interesting development that we've had is these additional working groups. So we've had a working group around metadata templates, which we'll hear about later. We've had a working group around this file system integration, which has led to Intel joining the consortium. We've also had a working group around MIME types. So those of you that were in training and we were talking about how iRODS can identify data by its info type or its MIME type and then act upon that, that's exactly what we were talking about. So that provides us a number of different ways of engaging the community. So when we have another metadata templates working group meeting or a file system integration working group meeting, we'll be reaching out to you and asking for your participation to help close that feedback loop. Consortium participation, as I've said, we are membership driven. We have levels from the general membership to the premier membership, and that comes with a bundle of support hours as well as rights within these different working groups. We provide service contracts as we engage with the community and build those proofs of concept or custom plugin development. If that is what you need, or you have a particular piece of hardware that needs supported, we can do that for you. As I've said, we had 6 training engagements this year, and we will provide training on-site or remotely via WebEx. Either work just fine. We've managed to do both quite successfully. And we have these working groups. Those are community-driven and standards-focused. The consortium is here to build standards around how we do the things that we do so that when you have a deployment in one location and a deployment in another location, the clients and the interaction between those particular locations will remain seamless and consistent. That means that you can rely on the software and you can rely on the software to do its job. And of course, we have open source contribution, and we'll be hearing from us a lot more this year on trying to grow the open source contribution from all of our participants. Are there any questions? Excellent. Sir? You said that they would be fine if we had longer breaks. Okay. There is a question. Excellent. Yes, sir. Yes. I believe that we'll be hearing from Terrell about our iRODS, but effectively one of our community members has developed a client API for R that binds to the C++ API underneath. And so you can now open data objects within iRODS and pull out frames of information for various processing at that point. So we have a software contribution process, and so that means that the software has to show up and pass all of the continuous integration tests, has to meet certain requirements for the code coverage, and a number of other business cases before the consortium will accept it and formally support it. Mike?
Even today, right? So how are we setting up to sort of capture, nurture sort of more of an incubation model where people can start developing tools at the outset that maybe are more intended to be shared with the community or, through this consortium process? Are there lightweight processes for that in mind, or how is that being arranged?
So I've tried to sort of bootstrap that. The idea there is that we have a testing framework. We have all of this information within GitHub, and it's of course open source. So if you look at Travis CI and a number of these other frameworks out there for open source development, the users can leverage the testing frameworks that we've already provided for iRODS and provide their own continuous integration. So if there's a software development lifecycle around these community participants, and they're following basically the best practices that we support at the consortium, then that gives you an on-road. And that's what we were trying to do with the iRODS Hub last year and the year before, I believe, where we're trying to capture software from the community and then provide some kind of communications channel from the developers to the wider community itself. And admittedly, we need to do a lot more work with that. So the technology working group has participants from all of the members itself. So who are the members of the technology working group? Those are the membership. That is part of the benefit of joining the consortium. You get to show up at the table, complain loudly, demand what you want, and we will put it on the schedule. And at that point, we just get to argue about what the schedule looks like. Either way, you can engage with us on GitHub, immediately as far as feature requests from the community. We've gotten plenty of bug reports, and we try to keep up with that community engagement regardless. Any more questions? Yes, I'm disappearing after this. All right.
So you're going to make me talk for an hour? That's not a good idea.
Well, Mike is going to talk too.
That's true.
So
Okay.
we'll be fine.
All right.
I'm going to leave this here.